Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Fireside 42. I'm your host, Rob Walden, and I hope everybody had a great day. Hey, listen, this is going to be a different kind of episode. I'm here by myself. No Tony today. I'm not even at work right now. I am at home outside on my porch. You can hear the nature sounds in the background, the cicadas and whatnot. So yeah, it's just you and me today. And there's a couple reasons for that, and I want to talk about it a little bit. First of all, I got a new mic. That's partly why I'm doing this. I wanted to test it out. I don't know that I have it quite dialed in yet, but I'm getting there. I like it. And the other reason I'm doing this is because, so the problem with the bargaining committee is that they're busy. They're busy quite a bit. And as bargaining starts to escalate, which it is slowly, it's starting to escalate, they're going to become busier and busier. Right now, when you consider all the things that they're doing, right? They're bargaining with the company. They're doing side table stuff with the company. They're meeting with membership to answer questions and to clarify things that are going on. Now, they're producing their own little newsletter that they're putting out every week, which is really good. If you haven't seen it, pay attention. They come out on Wednesday. Good information in there, and they look sharp, and it's just they're doing a good job with that. But in addition to that, they're also trying to create a video to communicate directly to you guys that they want to put out once a week. And this is a lot. This is a lot on their plate. And sometimes it's so much that something's got to give. And because all of the work that they do is directly related to us getting a contract, ultimately the thing that's going to get pushed back is the Fireside 42 podcast. It's frustrating for me, but it's good news for you because it means that they're focused and dedicated on the big prize, right? So we had an idea to do a podcast today. We were going to we're going to rip Christina's video to shreds, and we probably will still do that. I think maybe Monday we'll record that episode. But it just didn't work out. It ran out of time, and so we didn't get it done. And fortunately, I have this new mic that I can start doing things from home. And the other thing too is, so the podcast is starting to grow, right? Something happened that I didn't really count on, that I sort of hoped for, but kind of bet against when I started this whole thing, is that you guys would listen. And because you guys are listening, and more, a lot of you are finding value in this podcast. It has recently occurred to me that I'm kind of at a crossroads, sort of. I have to make a decision, and either I have to allow this podcast that's sort of becoming a living, breathing thing now. I have to either make plans to end it when the bargaining process is over, or I foster it and help it to grow. And I've elected to help it grow and become bigger, which means that I have to start doing things more independently, away from the bargaining team, and I have to kind of find my voice all by myself. And so this is part of this. So to help kind of take the burden off of me being up in the academy all the time trying to get interviews with bargaining team members, we're still going to do that. That's not ending. I'm going to slip in some episodes where it's just me and you talking about things that are important. State of the podcast episodes probably be a little bit shorter, but I mean, you guys are listening, you guys are involved, you guys giving me feedback on the floor and in meetings and stuff. So I think I owe it to you to, from time to time, come on the air and just tell you how things are going, right? So there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes of the podcast, a lot of planning, a lot of negotiating and talking with different people to try to make this thing grow. So yeah, that's why I'm sitting at home talking to myself, feeling a little silly. I hope this episode doesn't suck. It's a lot easier to be clever when you have somebody who's smarter than you to help you be clever. Anyway, so that's that. I want to talk a little bit about that all-team meeting. It wasn't much there, was there? We had, a lot of rumors, a lot of suspicions. A lot of us thought that was all she wrote. There was going to be a furlough, or nope. It was just basically a bargaining meeting, directed directly at team members, which is sort of bullshit. I think they're on the hairy edge of direct bargaining or direct dealing with this team meeting. And I don't appreciate that very much. And also, Christina's full of shit. Like, I don't know how to be nice about it. Like, I should be nice about it, but I'm not going to be, because she's a fucking liar. Like, she just is. And it bugs. I'll get a little loud there. It bugs the shit out of me, because I'll tell you. Let's talk about some of the things that she discussed in our all team meeting. Right. Let's start with. She talked once again about job security. In her last video, she opened with job security. But have you guys noticed in the last video, and even the slide she had up on stage behind her there, her job security language is actually job separation language? Isn't that crazy? She talks about in the video, especially how important job security is to us and how they recognize that. And then she proceeds to tell you all of the ways that she's going to get rid of us, right? Furlough, that means you're not coming to work. You're not being paid. A buyout means they're paying you to go away and never come back. Layoffs is a fancy way of saying you got fired. Like, none of that is job security. None of it. Like, it's nice that they're offering to throw some money at people that they're, sending off to wherever, but it's not job security language. It's not what we want to hear. It's you're getting fired or you're getting separated or we're buying you out language. It's job separation language. And she's just pretending that it's job security language. And it fucking infuriates me because it's dishonest. It is incredibly dishonest. Let's see, what else? What else did she say? And again, even in when she talked about the job security, some of what she talked about was a promise in the event of a furlough, or maybe it was in the event of layoffs, in the event of layoffs, that they would promise to have another conversation to negotiate more later. It was another promise to have a promise to talk more. The same thing they gave us in that talking paper that they sent out last month or month and a half ago, right? It was just more promises to have more conversations later. The opportunity, it's like, you remember back when we were kids, a lot of us, some of us don't remember this, it was like Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola, and they would have bottle cap games, and at first when I was real young, you'd take the cap off, and you'd look at the cap, and the cap would say, "You're a loser." And then it kind of evolved, and it's like you take the cap off, and when you were a loser, it would say you won a chance to play again or some shit. It basically meant that you were a loser. But that's what they're telling us. You win the opportunity to negotiate some more. Yay! But it doesn't get us anywhere. It's not a guarantee. It's not helpful. It's not really job security. It's an empty promise to give us more empty promises later, or maybe even when we get to that point and there's not a lot we can do, not a lot of leverage that we can throw at them, they'll just give us a big corporate polite "fuck you, you're out." So the job security thing is just bogus. And the next thing I want to talk about is she keeps bringing up profit sharing. Their profit sharing thing isn't. It's a lie. It's a scam. We've talked about this, and Chuck's talked about this. Like, they set a percentage on it, and I think maybe it was 4%. I don't remember. 4% profit. You have to reach a threshold in their model. You would have to reach a threshold. Volkswagen would have to reach a threshold of profit before profit sharing kicks in. And to the best of my knowledge, they have only ever reached that threshold like twice in 20 years. Like, in the last 20 years, they've hit that number 2 times. Get it? In your next 4-year contract, what they're saying is there's a very unlikely chance, especially now in this market, right, that you're going to reach a point where Volkswagens earn enough for you to get profit share. So on paper, yeah, they're offering profit share. But in reality, they've created a formula that almost guarantees they don't ever have to pay us. What horseshit. What a lie. Like, again, fucking dishonest. And it drives me up the wall. Like, if you don't want to pay us, just have the intestinal fortitude to say, we don't think you're worth it, we don't want to pay you. Instead of all this nonsense that, I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Their profit-sharing model, horseshit. Let me see. I have notes. I took notes while I was in the team meeting. Let me find them. I'm going to have to edit this shit out. Maybe I'll leave this in here, me talking to myself. While I'm doing this, means I ain't got anybody else to talk to. All right, here's my notes. Okay, so some of the stuff I just thought was funny. It was like weird. Like, so there was a lot of doom and gloom talk, I noticed. Like, they started out with numbers are down, profits are down, it's all bad. And then they talked about a few other things, and then they went back to the doom and gloom again, and, you know, rubbed the tariffs in our face, let us know that there's uncertainty in the world, and then immediately brought Christina up to bargain directly at us because fear sells, right? Get everybody scared. Times are tough. We don't know what's going to happen. So much uncertainty. But hey, here's Christina with a great contract offer and job security. I mean, even the thing, I wrote it down. Where did I write it down? Yeah, she wrote this. This was on her slide. It said, job security in the event of layoffs. If you're being laid off, that is the opposite of job security. By definition, a layoff is a fundamental absence of job security. You're being fired. I don't know if they think that you're stupid, that I'm stupid, or if they're really that dumb that they don't. I believe this is an oxymoron. I'm going to look that up, but I'm pretty sure this is an oxy-fucking-moron. In job security in the event of layoffs. Job security in the event of layoffs is fundamentally absent. This is kind of rambling. I apologize for not being more. I'll get better at this as we go, having to do this by myself. But I don't want to write a script. I could write a script for this, I suppose. Maybe I should do this live. And then at least you guys could mock me in the chats while I do this. That might be the way to go. At least you can make fun of me while I screw this up. So there's one thing that I was kind of confused on. Well, not really confused, but I'm curious about. When they were talking about the quality of our cars, and they showed that list of where our cars were on the list of quality, and like the ID4 was on page 3, and the Coupe was on page 2, or whatever the hell that was. Like, we were pages down in the quality thing. I kind of wonder, and I'm sure it is because so many of Volkswagen's plants are unionized, I wonder if all of the plants that are ahead of us are unionized plants where the union has a powerful, direct hand in ensuring quality instead of shipping shit out the door so that supervisors can get their numbers. And, maybe that's unfair on my part. Maybe management is now trying to do a better job, like legitimately trying to fix some of this stuff. But in the past, they have just obviously let garbage fly. So anyway, that was just an observation I had. At the very beginning of the meeting, Henning said he thanked us. He said it was good that so many of us wanted to come to that meeting, which is sort of laughable because I was told I didn't have a choice. Like, I don't know if does he not know what's going on? Like, do they not explain to him how this shit works? Or, again, is he pretending that I'm dumb? Because I was required I had to go to this meeting. It was a mandatory all-team meeting. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to listen to them peddle their propaganda bullshit at me. I didn't have a fucking choice. So for him to stand up there on that microphone and say, thank you for wanting to come here. It's good that so many people wanted to show up. Like, kiss my ass. I didn't want to be here. You made me come. Right? This is a captive audience meeting. I didn't have a choice. Shithead. Like, Jiminy Christmas. Let's see, what else? What are my other thoughts on this damn thing? I have a note. Christina is full of shit. I think I've covered that. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the all-team meeting. It wasn't much of nothing, which is good. I'm glad that they didn't declare layoffs or tell us that they were going to put us on furlough again. Although, being paid to not have to go to work isn't all that bad, honestly. All right, so you have to forgive me. I'm also smoking my cigar out here while I do this. I'm going to do this shit at after work. I'm going to enjoy myself. I want to talk a little about the future of the podcast. So I want to, my hope is, and I don't know how many of you folks out there are podcast listeners by and large. Like, I'm sure some of you are. I'm sure some of you are just listening to this podcast because you're getting information direct from the bargaining committee. But I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I try to listen to things that, well, I listen to a wide variety of things. But of the things that I listen to, I've been listening to some organized labor podcasts. And so what I found is, really, there's only two. Like, the market is bare. There is the, let me look. There is the Valley Labor Report, which is a pretty good radio show. It's newer in our area, but it's not that new of a podcast or a radio show. They do a pretty good job. And then there's America's Workforce podcast, and they're more national, whereas Union Labor or the Valley Labor Report is really more regional. But that's kind of it. Like, apparently there's a lot of podcasts. Locals and stuff will have a lot of their own little podcasts and whatnot. But as far as competition, I think, given everything that's going on in the South, the potential for, say, like Mercedes is redoing their vote, and there's other foreign plants that UAW wants to organize, and organized labor in general is kind of having a resurgence lately. I think there's an appetite for more podcasts. Forgive my airplane flying overhead. I hope that's not too obnoxious. Anyway, I think there's an appetite out there for more podcasts dealing with labor issues. And I want to pursue that. I want to try to take a bite out of that. There's a lot going on with Chattanooga right now. The Labor Council is just reconstituted itself. If Local 42 ends up joining the Labor Council, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, just because the sheer size of our factories. It's going to add a lot of political power to that organization, which is going to help all the other locals in the area, and they've all got interesting things to say. I just recently I've attended some of the Labor Council meetings, and I was listening to one of the delegates from the IEBW, and he was talking about the things that's going on with the TVA right now, and how the current administration is trying to privatize it, and how they don't feel that that's a really good idea, and problems and stuff that can cause. And there's all kinds of labor issues happening in our backyard that we are going to be put in a position to affect positively moving forward. And I want to be able to talk about that. I want to, these stories are interesting, and I want to share them with you. And so that's kind of how I want to move the podcast. At some point, this contract is going to be finished and ratified. We'll have to have elections after that. I want the podcast to focus on the elections. I want to help people get their name out to the rest of the plant. If they want to run for office, I want to help with that. There will be some time where we're going to have to explain the benefits that are in our contract, and I want to help to do that. But beyond those things, those kind of immediate future things, my midterm goal is to then not only talk about what's going on with Volkswagen, what's going on with UAW in regards to Volkswagen, our plant, the Local 42 news and stuff, but I also want to focus on broader issues in Chattanooga, and hopefully grow the podcast that way. So I hope you guys will continue to listen. I hope that I get better at doing this. I don't want to be, boring or entertaining but uneducational. I want to be able to share valuable information with you and have it be worth your time listening to, and somewhat at least entertaining. Anyway, that's my midterm goal for the podcast. Long-term goal for the podcast is to, take over the world. And why not? What else do I want to talk about? Is there anything else I need to talk about? I think that's kind of it. Like I said, Monday, I think we're going to try to do an episode. We're going to record an episode with the bargaining team talking about this latest contract offer. There's a lot to not like about it. I think the bargaining team would tell you that there are some things in there, maybe not in the video that Christina shared with us, but in the actual submitted offer that they can work with, that they can bargain with. A lot of it's just fucking garbage. Especially when she said at the end that their last offer is still on the table. Their last offer wasn't worth a shit. It was regressive and it was just bad. So that's not awesome. In the future, I'm still working on details on how I want to do it. And I may start contacting a few people here pretty soon. But I want to start putting team members on the show. You guys told me on Facebook that you were definitely interested in doing that. And I think there's a ton of you out there that have some really interesting stories. And I want to get them out there. I want your peers to hear from you. I want you to hear from you, with your peers listening to you talk about you, to your peers who are also you. I want to put you on the podcast. Yeah, that made sense. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to figure out exactly how I want to do that episode, because I kind of have to be careful, right? Because I don't want it to just be a bitch session where we get people on and potentially get ourselves in trouble, and it can't really be an episode about answering questions, because I don't have the answers. I'm just the question answer. The bargaining team has all the answers. I'm just, they're asking questions. But I think you guys have got some valid insight on how this whole process is affecting you and how shitty it is. Like, I know in my area, my quality of life since we won our contract has diminished considerably. And that's no fault of the UAWs or our bargaining members. That's strictly on the company. But that's how it's been for us. And I think a lot of you are probably in that same boat. And I want to hear from you. And I want to put your stories on my podcast so that people that aren't necessarily in your area but are experiencing the exact same thing that you're experiencing can hear from one of their own how shitty this company can be. So I definitely want to do that. And also, well, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to share that with you. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you about that one. But I do have another idea for an episode I think will be pretty good. But I'll save that for another day. Anyway, I think that's everything I got to tell you. Yeah. So let's call it there. Thank you for listening to my first solo episode of Fireside 42. I hope you got some value out of it, listening to me ramble for however long I have been rambling. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. This is Fireside 42. We're out. Hey, it's me again. I'm jumping back in here. This is future me, actually. After I was editing the show, I caught an error that I slip of the tongue when I was talking about quality of life in my part of the factory going down. I said that after we won our contract, my quality of life started to diminish, and obviously we don't have a contract yet. So what I meant to say was, what I should have said was, after we won the election, quality of life in my shop sort of took a dive. Anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. It's not a big deal, but I wanted to say that. So anyway, this is Fireside 42. We're out for reals though. This time for real.